It starts from the east and guests arrive from across the world. On November the 5th, 2020, the third China International Import Expo was successfully staged in Shanghai in spite of the global COVID-19 pandemic.
中国在确保防疫安全前提下，如期举办这一全球贸易盛会，体现了中国同世界分享市场机遇、推动世界经济复苏的真诚愿望。
This major trade event is the world's first import-themed national expo. It is a vote of confidence in continued trade liberalization and economic globalization, and a display of China's presence as a major country on the world stage. While globalization has created an ever more interconnected world, uncertainties and destabilizing factors still abound. Global economic growth is flagging. The gap between rich and poor countries continues to widen, and traditional and non-traditional security threats are growing. No country is immune to these increasingly complex challenges, and no country can afford to retreat into self-isolation. The world is undergoing profound changes unseen in a century. At the crossroads, China answered the urgent question of what has happened to the world and how should we respond?
中国方案是构建人类命运共同体，实现共赢共享。
Building a community of shared future for mankind is to connect the prospects and destinies of every nation and country closely together and share weal and woe. It's a concept that is deeply rooted in traditional Chinese culture, as well as one that reflects the common values of humanity. From the 5 principles of peaceful coexistence to the promotion of building a community of shared future for mankind, the Communist Party of China remains firm in pursuing an independent foreign policy of peace, respects the right of people of all countries to choose their development paths, upholds international fairness and justice, and opposes interfering in the internal affairs of others. No matter what stage of development it reaches, China will never seek hegemony or engage in expansion. The goal of building a community of shared future for mankind is the most distinctive feature of China's diplomacy in the new era.
我高兴地看到，中国同世界各国的友好合作不断拓展，人类命运共同体理念得到了越来越多人的支持和赞同。这一倡议正在从理念转化为行动。
The goal of building a community of shared future for mankind is written into multiple UN documents. It stays true to the organization's original purpose of promoting peace and development. It is also a response to the world's striving for peace and development. In September 2015, Xi Jinping told a touching story at the UN Leaders Summit on peacekeeping.
5年前，中国维和女警察何志红在海地执行联合国维和任务时不幸殉职，留下年仅4岁的幼子和年逾花甲的父母。他曾经写道：“大千世界，我也许只是一根羽毛，但我也要以羽毛的方式承载和平的心愿。”这是他生前的愿望，也是中国对和平的承诺。
Since 1990, China has sent over 40,000 peacekeepers and over 2,600 police officers to participate in nearly 30 UN peacekeeping missions. 16 Chinese soldiers and 8 officers have died during these missions. In 2020, the UN awarded its Peace Medal of Honor to all 410 officers and soldiers of the 18th batch of Chinese peacekeepers at the UN Interim Force in Lebanon and all 218 of the 23rd batch in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Today, China is the second largest contributor to UN peacekeeping missions and the largest troop contributing country among the permanent members of the UN Security Council. On June 22, 2018, the Central Conference on Foreign Affairs was held in Beijing. Xi Jinping noted that the banner of building a community of shared future for mankind should be raised to make global governance more just and reasonable. As a responsible major country, China leads the reform and building of global governance. It participates in the development of international economic and trade rules to achieve this goal. It also cooperates with other countries to address climate change for green, low-carbon and sustainable development, and contributes to the development of international rules in frontier areas such as space, the deep sea and the polar regions. Adhering to its vision for participatory global governance, China upholds multilateralism, supports the international system centered on the UN and international law, makes full use of global and regional multilateral platforms, and provides solutions to today's global governance deficit for a more just and reasonable global system. Building a new type of international relations is a basic approach to building a community of shared future for mankind. Following the principle of mutual respect, fairness and justice and win-win cooperation, China has taken a new approach for developing state-to-state relations through communication instead of confrontation and partnership instead of antagonistic blocs. In the early morning of March 4, 2021, another batch of COVID-19 vaccines from China arrives at the São Paulo International Airport in Guarulhos, Brazil. It is regarded by the locals as timely rain. Chinese vaccines have also been shipped to countries including Argentina, Belarus, Pakistan, Singapore, Egypt and Bolivia. Individual recipients include Peruvian President Francisco Sagasti, Chilean President Sebastián Pinera, and Brazilian football legend Pelé. In the face of COVID-19, the common enemy of mankind, Xi Jinping observes that viruses respect no borders and solidarity and cooperation are the most powerful weapons. He also calls for building a community of common health for mankind. China promptly informed the international community of its domestic epidemic. It then released the genome sequence of the novel coronavirus, took all possible measures to curb the epidemic spread, and shared its experiences of prevention and control without reservation with the rest of the world. To help contain COVID-19 worldwide, China Railway Express trains carried protective supplies to European countries, showing China to be a reliable partner and the confidence and determination of mankind to defeat the virus.
对我们整个中国来说，中欧班列的开行的量以后会越来越大，我们开行的班次也会越来越多，我感到非常的自豪。
While shipping by sea and by air is limited during the pandemic, the Trans-Eurasian Express continues to assist various countries. It is, in fact, the product of the Belt and Road Initiative. In the fall of 2013, Xi Jinping put forward the major initiative of building the Silk Road Economic Belt and the 21st Century Maritime Silk Road. The ancient silk routes linking China with the outside world witnessed the bustling scenes of visits and trade. This 1,000-year-old gilt bronze silkworm, displayed at China's Shaanxi History Museum, bears witness to the establishment of land routes connecting Asia, Europe and Africa in ancient times. Discovered off Indonesia's Belitung Island, meanwhile, the 1,200-year-old wreck of an Arabian ship trading with China shows that sea commerce between East and West at the time was thriving. The ancient silk routes span thousands of miles and years. In today's era of globalization, the spirit of the ancient silk routes is being carried forward by the Belt and Road Initiative. As of January 2021, China had signed 205 cooperation documents on jointly building the Belt and Road with 140 countries and 31 international organizations, and jointly launched over 2,000 cooperation projects. Chinese companies have invested $34 billion in overseas economic and trade cooperation zones in countries along the Belt and Road, paid over $3 billion in taxes to host countries, and created 330,000 jobs. The Belt and Road Initiative has become an important platform for the practices of building a community of shared future for mankind. Xu Zhou, a worker on the China-Laos Railway project, looks tired from over 3 months of intense work. He carries out meticulous inspections every day, and there are tens of thousands of workers like him. For many years, there was only one 3.5-kilometer railroad in Laos, and many Laotians had never traveled by train. It has therefore been the dream of generations of Laotians to build a railway connecting their landlocked nation to the outside world to boost economic growth.
แล้วยังบ่เคยได้ขี่จักเทื่อเนาะถ้าว่ามีทางรถไปแล้วเนาะก็จะไปเบิ่งประเทศชาติเพิ่นพัฒนาแนวใด
ฉะนั้นขอรีเริ่มหนึ่งแล้วทางหนึ่งเส้นทางนี้เป็นการเชื่อมจอดการคมนาคมขนส่งทางบกและเชื่อมจอดการคมนาคมขนส่งทางทะเลฉะนั้นมีความสำคัญหลายกับบรรดาประเทศในภาคพื้นนี้และกับประเทศ
Within Laos, the railway will cover more than 400 kilometers between the country's capital Vientiane and the border town of Botan before connecting to China's southwest city of Kunming. Its construction started in December 2016, and it is scheduled to start taking traffic in December 2021. The Belt and Road Initiative has proved an effective means for resource sharing, shared prosperity, and common development. It originated in China, but belongs to the world.
We see the Belt and Road Initiative as the most relevant project, which I hope will contribute to a more fair globalization. And a more fair globalization is the best way to have a future of shared prosperity for the different nations of the world.
June 2019, to commemorate the 70th anniversary of China-Russia diplomatic ties, Russian President Putin invited his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping to a cruise tour on the Neva River in St. Petersburg. While enjoying the river scenery, they talked about the past and future. The two leaders then boarded the cruiser Aurora that played a major role in the October Revolution in 1917 and are briefed on its history.
10月革命一声炮响，给中国送来了马克思主义，成立了中国共产党。所以他和中国的这种渊源关系啊，在我们心中是很重的分量。
The two leaders signed a joint statement to upgrade relations to a comprehensive strategic partnership of coordination for a new era. This visit, which inherits the past and ushers in the future, is Xi's 8th state visit to Russia since his election as General Secretary in 2013. Xi Jinping's first visit to Russia as Chinese president was on March the 22nd, 2013. It was the opening chapter of China's diplomacy in the new era. For the first time on an international occasion, Xi expounded the basic principles of building a community of shared future for mankind, as well as a new style of international relations. Two important diplomatic concepts for China in the new era. Since then, Xi and Putin have met over 30 times and developed a close working relationship. The two countries give each other firm support on issues concerning their respective core interests and major concerns, and have set up a paradigm of a new style of international relations featuring mutual respect, fairness and justice, and win-win cooperation. Since 2017, unilateralism and protectionism has been rampant. The US government unilaterally provoked China-US trade friction and escalated it into a trade war. The two countries now face the gravest challenge to their bilateral ties since relations were established in 1979.
我们希望美方能够同中方一道，
新冠病毒
或实施单边非法制裁，破坏国际体系规则，这顶帽子当然非美国莫属。
In the face of US pressure at every step, China has responded firmly and consistently for the sake of common interests and the World Trade Order. Adhering to its commitment and principles, China will not compromise on matters concerning its national interests. It has shown that it does not want a trade war, but it's not afraid of one and will fight one if necessary. China-US relations affect the well-being of the two countries' 1.7 billion people, as well as the interests of another 6 billion people in the rest of the world. China always believes that the interests of the two countries have been deeply interwoven. The bilateral relationship is no zero-sum game. One's success doesn't have to come at the expense of the other's failure. While China-US cooperation can make great things happen for the two countries and the entire world, China-US confrontation would spell disaster for not only the two countries but also humanity as a whole.
我们希望美方走出零和博弈的狭隘心态，与中方一道，引领和推动人类社会走出弱肉强食的旧秩序，走出霸权兴衰的旧循环。 共同建设一个全人类命运与共、携手发展的全新世界。
中国不觊觎他国权益，不嫉妒他国发展，但绝不放弃我们的正当权益。中国人民不信邪也不怕邪，不惹事儿也不怕事儿。任何外国不要指望我们会拿自己的核心利益做交易，不要指望我们会吞下损害我国主权安全发展利益的苦果。
From safeguarding its rights in the South China Sea and patrolling the Diaoyu Islands to fighting against separatist forces of all kinds, China has made firm, courageous and successful diplomatic efforts to safeguard its sovereignty, security and development interests. Neighboring countries and regions are a priority in China's efforts to build a community of shared future for mankind. Following the principles of amity, sincerity, mutual benefit and inclusiveness, and fulfilling a promise of cultural affinity and frequent reciprocal visits, Xi Jinping has visited over 20 neighboring countries to share China's achievements in development. As a result of these efforts, China has built a closer relationship with Africa and become its largest trading partner for 12 consecutive years. It has deepened cooperation in various fields with other countries in the BRICS and Asia-Pacific region. It has developed a comprehensive partnership featuring equality, mutual benefit and common development with Latin America. It has committed to a comprehensive strategic partnership with the EU, and it has gradually advanced its cooperation with 17 Central and Eastern European countries. China's sustained diplomatic efforts are proving its commitment to building a community of shared future for mankind. Since the 18th CPC National Congress in 2012, China has promoted the comprehensive development of relations with other nations, blazed a trail in diplomacy, and formed a comprehensive, in-depth and multi-dimensional network of global partnerships with major countries, neighboring countries and developing countries. So far, China has established diplomatic relations with 180 countries and partnerships at different levels with 112 countries and international organizations throughout the world. In November 2017, the Communist Party of China held a high-level meeting with the world's political parties. Leaders from nearly 300 political parties and organizations from over 120 countries shared ideas on the theme of working together towards a community of shared future for mankind and a better world, responsibilities of political parties.
中国共产党愿同世界各国政党加强往来，分享治党治国经验，开展文明交流对话，增进彼此战略信任，同世界各国人民一道，推动构建人类命运共同体，携手建设更加美好的世界。
Guided by Xi Jinping thought on diplomacy, China's diplomatic mission in the new era is to firmly defend China's sovereignty, security and development interests, while adhering to the national and the CPC strategies, and thus create a more favorable international environment which will provide strong support and guarantee for realizing the Chinese dream of the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation and the progress of mankind. China will prosper only when the world prospers, and vice versa. Working together with other nations, it will continue contributing to world peace, development and cooperation in the building of a community of shared future for mankind and a better world.
从长夜到日出，走过千山万水的路，每一步都是信仰足迹，烙印下新中国版图。从贫弱到富强，走出复兴，为业征途，每一天都有奋斗牺牲，只为人民拥抱幸福，凭着心中坚定信念，敢叫日月换新天，雄关漫道，风雨无阻，汇聚起中华儿女同向前。从贫弱到富强，走出复兴，为业征途。